big hello and welcome to all our viewers joining us for this live coverage of One Play specials. I must say, I consider myself to be extremely lucky that I get to share the screen with the dynamic duo of Ayaz Memon and Mandira Lalvani nearly on a daily basis here on our One Play Sports networks. But today, we don't just have the dynamic duo of Mandira and Ayaz, we have the talismanic trio of Mandira, Ayaz, and Alan Wilkins, who's making his debut on our One Play Sports networks. Alan, how do you feel making your debut?
Well, I mean, I am honored to be once again with Mandira and with Ayaz. It's been a few years, and to be on the One Play Sports, I am deeply honored. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Always happy to see you, and having you on the show is like a cherry on the cake.
No, the word Anubhav used, and correctly so, was talismanic, because whenever Alan has been part of any broadcast where I've been involved, it's always a super success. Right,
oh,
Alan?
dear.
Oh,
oh
dear.
well, it's a team, isn't it? Right, Mandira? It's a team, and sometimes when you got that earpiece, nobody sees the 50, 60 people behind. But I mean, look, we've had some good times over the years, and you and I go back, crikey, back to 11, 12 years maybe.
Yeah, well, 2007, so 13 years. Wow.
Oh gosh. And I've known Ayaz, that moustache, that has stood the test of time. Look at it, beautiful.
It's glued on very firmly. I don't take it off at all.
Yeah.
This lockdown was a good time, Ayaz, to experiment, by the way.
Mandira, you spoke about talismanic. When I was doing my research before the show, I was confused between using the phrase talismanic trio versus Holy Trinity. Which one do you guys prefer?
Both work beautifully.
Oh.
Calling Mandira and Alan Wilkins holy would be a bit of a stretch. Huh?
Why do you say so, Ayaz? Can you expand? Why do you say so, Ayaz?
My lips are sealed.
Very thin ice there, Anubhav. Very thin ice. So move on to sport.
Brilliant. I got so carried away exchanging pleasantries that I forgot to establish what the topic of discussion is. Of course, we'll be talking about the return of cricket with the England-West Indies series coming up less than a week away now. Then Pakistan and England playing each other as well. And of course, as Alan mentioned in the promo on our One Play Sports networks, Alan, Mandira, Ayaz have shared lots of fascinating and funny times together covering cricket together all over the world. So I'm pretty sure we would love to hear some fascinating anecdotes from Alan, Mandira, as well as Ayaz.
Great.
Yep.
Well, no tales on tour, of course, but
so why don't we perhaps kick things off?
He keeps everything for his book. Now we've had one book which has come out. Now he's writing. Now that in the lockdown he's been gardening and painting and God knows what else. I'm sure he's scribbling. He's making notes somewhere else for another book.
I am. And without letting the cat out of the bag, I am working on a second book because I just felt that, Ayaz, you've written goodness how many books. I think it's a great thrill. It's a great feeling once you've got your first one done. And I wanted to tell my story, and I so enjoyed it. I could have written more and more. In fact, I was mortified when the proof editor and the copy editor, they cut so many thousands of words out of it. And I said, that's my life you're getting there, That's my life. But they said, no, there's a certain number of words that you have to sell. They won't read, War and Peace about Alan Wilkins. So I'm pleased with that. The thing is, you could write a book about our time with ESPN Star Sports. Mandira, you are part of that. Ayaz, many programs you've done with that. I could write a book of Ravi Shastri on tour. I'd like to write that book.
I want to read that book.
But the problem is having to nail Ravi Shastri down to actually get him to talk about his life. I think Ravi's got a great story to tell. One of the great stories. But, that's for another time.
But Alan, I should say that whatever didn't quite make the cut in the book, you're definitely allowed to say on this episode. So nothing's off limits.
Well, yes. I could actually. But, this. Oh, there it is. Look, there it is. That's the. There were so many willing people to to help me with this. Ayaz is the person I must thank personally and publicly now, because Ayaz put me in touch with Pramod Kapoor of Rowley Books, and of course I got the book published in India and of course in this country, but it was through Ayaz Memon here, right here, who got me that contact. And also Mandira helped me. She's an absolute snapper's delight. She's always taking photographs. So I said, I've got no photographs of 2009, the Women's World Cup, the ice in North Sydney. Mandira came up with them. And also you came up with some photographs of, I was with Graham Gooch and the late Martin Crowe.
Yes, I remember that.
I remember you had those photos, and honestly, Ayaz Anubhav, she sent me these photos within 3 hours, 2 hours. They were on my computer. So
they were that was such a fun trip actually. 3 weeks. It was like a holiday. I told you guys. I think
it's a live wire. There's not a moment to be wasted in this life. Every moment has to be enjoyed.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. It goes by too quickly.
Knowing Mandira, I thought you would say 3 minutes and not 3 hours. But that's a testament to the partnership that you have with Ayaz, with Mandira. Would love to know the genesis of this partnership. When was the first time that you actually met Ayaz? Can you remember your first encounter with him? And then I'll ask the same question to Mandira as well.
Ayaz. When did I first meet Ayaz? I think it was probably in the company of Ravi, or possibly Ravi with Sachin, because Ravi and Sachin are very close. And I think it must have been in Mumbai somewhere. Ayaz, am I on the right track here?
You are absolutely on the right track. It certainly goes back more than 2 decades. So,
it does.
It
does. And both of us had darker hair to start the friendship,
The mustache was still there, but we had some black hair to show there.
and with Mandira, Mandira, I have a feeling it might have been the 2003 Cricket World Cup. Was it Mandira?
It was it was the 2007 T20 World Cup when we were in South Africa. And I met you. I was with Sunil Manoharan. We were doing some production work. And he said, "Come and see Wilkinson." I said, "Who?"
Oh my God! Yeah. And I've been Sri Wilkinson ever since.
I remember the introduction I had to Alan was not when I met him first, but when Ravi told me, you must meet him. He's a top man. I said, "Who's the top man?" He says, all Glamorgan guys are top man. All Welsh County.
Ravi.
Wilco, I think you can write a book on Ravi's cliches.
I think that's already been done. What about a book on Navjot Singh Sidhu's ad libs? What about that?
Oh my God! I asked you, remember when we were doing the India?
Yeah.
He had a register which was parked under his bum on the chair. So during the to open it to quickly see which phrases he'd go with. Remember?
But Alan, look, if Kevin Peterson plays the switch hit, or somebody plays the reverse sweep or Dil Scoop, we call it great improvisation and innovation. Navjot Singh Sidhu revolutionized cricket commentary for the rest of the world. Nothing hit producers and audiences as much as Navjot Singh Sidhu.
He was so intense, about getting the right thing. So the right thing out of his mouth, he would think of things, but he would write it all down.
Yeah.
So I used to say to him, "You writing down your ad libs? They're supposed to be off the cuff." "Sri Wilkins," he would say, "if you had half the knowledge that I have with these words and sayings, you would go a long way." And I said, "Well, I'm already here." He said, "But no one has commentated like Sri Sidhu," and nobody did.
Nobody did.
Navjot was a one-off. I mean, he was very intense, very emotional, quite a character. I mean,
and as a presenter who was supposed to get him to keep quiet, going into the commercial break. Oh my God!
No chance.
No amounts of but. Okay.
No chance at all. But Anubhav, in answer to your question with Mandira, where Mandira's career and really mine as well, we took on a sort of it went forward, it went up, was the 2009 ICC Women's World Cup in North Sydney. Mandira hosted that. We first met Melanie Jones, Debbie Hockley, Belinda Clark, and Wasim Akram was in commentary with Danny Morrison and myself. And Wasim said to us, "Look, I have never seen a game of female cricket, women's cricket ever. Do not ask." Now, this tournament was 3 weeks long, and he said, "Do not ask me one question on women's cricket."
And every morning for breakfast, Wilco and Wasim and I would sit together and have breakfast. And I was like trying to be the studious one with the team sheets and all.
Yeah.
And guys used to say, "Naam batana zara." Tell me the name of the players.
But that was a great moment, Ayaz. I'm not sure whether you covered that tournament. It was in North Sydney. No, it was in North Sydney. It was the first time that the women's global event had been televised globally.
Yeah.
And of course, it was the first time we met Mel Jones.
Yes.
And of course, you know what Mel has done in the game now. And in those days, Isha Guha was playing for England. Charlotte Edwards was, I think, captain of England then. And of course, Lisa Starlaker was playing for Australia. It was incredible. And they were great days. They're really, really, really great days. And, that was 11 years ago. And the years go by so quickly. And I know also with Mandira that you've covered, I think for ESPN Star Sports, you did the Football World Cup as well, didn't you? In Singapore.
I didn't do the Football World Cup. I did some of the India-England test. I did the Sri Lanka Premier League, I think was also on Star. And I did, then I did other like Commonwealth games and all that kind of stuff. That kind of some tennis, all of that. But I've had two babies since then, Wilco, so that's kept me a bit busy.
Yeah. So, let's just hope we get. I mean, what's the story? If you don't mind me asking, from India, what's the story? Ayaz, if you don't mind me asking, with IPL. I mean, I read that. I mean, the BCCI is desperate to put the IPL on. What's the latest?
Fingers crossed. They're hoping that look, the big issue I think is going to be how this, how the pandemic plays out over the next couple of months, because India is still kind of peaking. The next 4 or 5 weeks are very, very crucial or critical. And then even for the IPL, which you can put together because it's a homegrown tournament, it still requires time to set up systems, processes. One option is to shift it to another country, and I believe the talks are in an advanced stage with the UAE, albeit informally, not officially. But that is one possibility. So it could be that half of the tournament is played there and the second half over here, including the final. One other possibility is that it is restricted only to 2 cities, like say Mumbai and Pune, with the final at say Ahmedabad, so that you don't have too much travel. You're not traveling, with the teams. Or it could be Bangalore and Chennai, whatever. So, but a lot. I think the joker in the pack, if I might say so, is still the World T20. What is happening there?
Yeah.
They haven't officially called it off.
It doesn't look. I mean, from this part of the world, it doesn't look good. Especially now in Australia, where there's been a spike in COVID-19 infections in the state of Victoria, in Melbourne.
Correct.
And, that's gone up alarmingly. So, Australia would be the first country to close its borders. It did close all its borders. It closed its interstate borders as well.
Yes.
So I think with every day that goes by, it dilutes the chances of the ICC Men's World T20 taking place. And if that's the case, I think it strengthens the cause for the IPL to take maybe that window.
Most certainly. And apart from that, the fact that, the cricket is today impoverished for action, for the audiences to be engaged, and also for money. So the IPL generates, more money than any other tournament. I mean, it will certainly generate more money than the World T20. because the broadcast rights themselves are so huge. Even if you don't have a single spectator in the stand, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
The broadcast rights will make sure that every franchise makes money, every player is paid well, and there's more to send out to all the other boards across the world and say, okay, come on, keep going.
Agreed. And I think this the 3-test series coming up between the West Indies and England is going to be a very important indicator to see how it all pans out. And I think for Test cricket is phenomenal. The entire world will be watching each, it gets like a second lease of life, really. They've been stuck for years to get to innovate with Test cricket to make it more palatable for viewers and fans. But here now there's nothing else to watch. People will definitely, hopefully, get hooked on to Test cricket again.
Yeah. On that, you see, it's supposed to start next Wednesday. The players have been sort of in isolation or in quarantine for 2 weeks or so. The West Indies have come. Now, strangely, Joe Root, it looks like he's going to miss this first test because he's going to go home in the next couple of days to go to the hospital where his wife is expecting their second baby. And he's been given permission to leave the environment, the biosecure environment, as indeed has Phil Simmons, the West Indies coach. And Phil Simmons came in for some criticism for that, but he said, look, he has to go to an important family funeral. But, underneath all this, and as you would know this, is the sheer amount of money that has been paid globally for broadcast rights. You think of Star Sports in India, Sky Sports, what they're paying here. And also for the West Indies, I mean, they're in a financial dire straits at the moment. So there's a huge underbelly of financial imperatives here that this cricket has got to be played. At the moment, we've got English Premier League football taking place, empty stadiums, of course, and cricket is going to start, county cricket, in a month's time. The county cricket team here, Glamorgan, feels that they should start tomorrow. They could. But it's the financial implications if there was no cricket. Oh, I mean, I'd shudder to think. Chief financial officers, I don't know how they sleep at night.
But, Alan, I can tell you realistically, and what you're saying is absolutely right. And, Mandira obviously knows this also because she's part of the ecosystem where, this information is very, very strong. That if that's it. Even Australian Cricket Board finances are in a big black hole right now. There is no other cricket playing country which has got money. Not the West Indies, not Sri Lanka, not New Zealand, not Pakistan. So the financial health of the sport is very, very dire. What you're saying is absolutely right. And therefore some action needs to resume. And when you have a tournament like the series against West Indies in a biosecure environment, no gate money coming in, it's not really helping the coffers. What will help the coffers of the game is something like the IPL, possibly the World T20, if the plan was to have 10,000 spectators in a 40,000 capacity. But there also the rights for the broadcast rights are not so high. So there's some hard decision making that has to take place.
Yes, absolutely. But I think there's a lot of curiosity also about the new normal. You know what I'm trying to say? And I, for one, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this pan, no saliva on the ball or all this social distancing. And it's interesting. And also for the players, if you think about it, they're stuck with each other in that same hotel, the same field. There's no time off, there's no time out. So even mentally, how they start coping with stuff, I don't know. Alan, what do you think?
Well, here's another angle. For 10 years, with Pakistan not being able to play at home in Pakistan. So for 10 years, they've been playing in the UAE, largely to empty stadiums.
Right.
Maybe on a Friday night, if it was an evening game, they might. But for test matches, they've had no one watching because that cricket stadium in Dubai is a long way out of town. And there's no public transport to it. So Pakistan's cricketers, quite a few of them are used to empty stadia. So look, these guys, the England players, get paid handsomely. I mean, Joe Root's on a 7-figure salary. The money, they understand the financial premise of this. but they also, they also realize that their career is ticking by, and so they once if you're a professional cricketer, professional sportsman, you want to play. You want to be out there. I don't think that we'll have to get back, in a year or so, to crowds coming in. Even in New Zealand now, New Zealand, which has been a model for the world, for the way they've handled coronavirus, they've got rugby taking place, and they've got crowds going into those rugby stadiums. So it can be done. It's just, I think, for the Western world and for India and Pakistan and Sri Lanka have done well as well, because they've kept their infections very low, very low. And congratulations to them for doing it. But, sport has to have spectators. I don't think, I mean, India's just built the biggest cricket stadium in the world in Ahmedabad, 110,000.
Yeah.
And also, as the point you were making just then, if you went to a test match here in England for one day, the minimum cost of going in as a man in the street is £100 for a day's cricket. £100. You can pay 150. You can pay £200 in the better seats. You can pay £300-400 with some hospitality. So these are serious numbers. And for the main thing right now, I think, Mandira, is that television is the basis upon which these decisions have been made to get some coffers back into the bank. Otherwise, I mean, the high street, just the high streets in the cities in this country are absolutely on their knees. There's nobody shopping. Everything's gone online, and it's almost like Armageddon. I don't like to paint such a gruesome picture, but that's what it is. And if you think of the traders of Mumbai and of Delhi and Bangalore and Kolkata, the traders, everyone's got a little store, everyone's got a market, everyone's got a business going. You need traffic, you need human traffic. And that's what cricket needs as well. We'll get it back, but it could be maybe next year. Who knows?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Alan, of course, we spoke about the financial impact as a result of COVID, but can you touch upon the mental or the psychological impact on the players? Virat Kohli recently mentioned that it's going to be hard to recreate the same emotions. We saw the resumption of the Premier League recently. Of course, players have started playing, but of course, they would ideally like to play with 60,000, 70,000 people packed in the stadium. How do you reckon playing behind closed doors will impact cricketers in a cricket setting?
It's a good question, Anubhav. And the person you mentioned, Virat Kohli, Virat responds to the crowd. Virat needs a crowd because he's probably the most highly emotional or emotive cricketer in the world. I think he's learned to cope with his emotions, but he wears his emotions right here on his sleeve. And you saw him, he gets the crowd going. He does this. He likes crowds. So he will miss that immediate reinforcement. And when you think of, if you think of IPL for the moment, I mean, the stadiums are always full. The Wankhede Stadium, when it's full pelt, is incredible. The noise is, you can't hardly hear yourself think. So I think for Test cricket, I mean, the players yesterday in England, there were two England teams playing in the Aegis Bowl in Southampton, and they said it was eerily silent. So England's cricketers have asked for crowd noise to be pumped through into the stadium. They want it. They've asked for it. Stuart Broad has said he wants to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist to get him in the right frame of mind for playing in front of an empty stadium. Can you imagine that? He should have played for Glamorgan like I did. We played in front of empty stadiums every day.
So did my friend Ravi Shastri, or our friend.
When Ravi was with Glamorgan Ayaz, they had a few people watching. He was very successful. He's the first Indian Welshman to get the crowds into Cardiff.
Yeah, but the crowd used to be in the bar, not in the watching the cricket.
But yeah,
the Virat Kohli thing that you mentioned is very, very interesting, Alan. because what Virat is also saying is that how much he supports Test cricket. He's a great ambassador for Test cricket. You would imagine that the world's best ODI cricketer who made mountains of runs, and this generation would actually be talking of limited overs cricket and winning World Cup and this that. But no, he goes out and advocate. He's leading the advocacy for Test match cricket along with maybe Joe Root and Steve Smith and Kane Williamson. That's the greatness of these four players, apart from the runs they make.
Yes. Virat has always maintained that the Test cricket is the number one. It is the number one, and I tend to agree with. I agree with. I do agree with him. I think Test cricket is fantastic. I think maybe it was the Australians who set the tone when they started smashing Test cricket overs for +4 and over. With the likes of Matthew Hayden and those guys, they and Ricky Ponting and co. They smashed the ball over the park. They started in Gilchrist over 4 and over. India have followed suit with that. There will always be the fast food diet. T20. We got T10 now. We'll have 40 over. We'll have 50 over. We'll always have that. But I think to aspire to play Test cricket, yes, I understand that from Virat, and it seems to be the measure amongst international cricketers that once you play Test cricket, you're in the club. You've made it, and I get that. As you've covered cricket for decades, and you know so many international cricketers, and Indian cricket, not just Indian, but global cricketers. They all talk. It's like a private club, isn't it?
It is.
It's like a private club. If you played and there's a club within a club,
Correct.
if you're Gavaskar,
Yes.
or Vishwanath or Kapil Dev, you're in a club within the club, and it's very exclusive. But
in India, we call it the caste system.
I thought I was going into the cap system.
In India, we call it the caste system. Club within club within clubs.
But yeah, this is going to hit every sport, but particularly cricket.
Yeah.
But if ever there was a sport that naturally socially distanced itself, it's cricket.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
True, absolutely.
It's a very peculiar sport, but let's not forget what bowlers, including yourself, used to do with the ball when you were playing. So after 100 years and more of doing the same thing, can you break that habit so easily? Is something we'll know when West Indies and England play. But just to come to the cricket, Alan, I'll take an answer from you on that, on what you would have done with the ball right now. But just to come to the cricket, and this is interesting from a cricketing point of view, West Indies versus England, a lot of people forget or are ignorant of this, that West Indies beat England the last time they played in the series.
Absolutely. They did, and they didn't just beat them, they thrashed them. They absolutely thrashed England. So and Jason Holder's been making some great noises here about giving. And West Indies have got some fast bowlers back.
Yes.
They've got a battery of fast bowlers. This is looking more like a West Indies team that you and I would have seen in years gone by.
I still get the shadows.
And by the way, I did use the occasional Vaseline or the occasional hair cream, but it didn't make any difference to the way I bowled.
It's made a difference to your hair. So,
But you're right. But personally, I didn't like using saliva. I used sweat. I used sweat or from under your arm. But anything to try and maintain a shine on the ball.
Yeah.
Whereas now, cricketers rough up the ball. They rough it up. So they want the ball to hit the dry part of the turf, or they want the ball to hit the concrete in the stands. We try to keep the shine on it.
Yeah.
So that's changed. I didn't know enough about reverse swing that that Wasim Akram talks about. And if you had Kapil Dev on here now as well, he would talk about shining the ball so that it swung with shine, not because it would shine because it was rough. We didn't know about that, you know.
In fact, I'll just let you in on this, and you maybe Mandira knows. And so Kapil Dev actually learned reverse swing from Manoj Prabhakar.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Manoj Prabhakar. Yeah, because Kapil Dev was a genuine swing bowler like you were. They used to find the ball and get it to swing, but to scuff the ball to get reverse swing was something that he learned later in his life, not maybe for the first 7-8 years. Maybe
underrated bowler Manoj Prabhakar, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And also you had it's just Roger Binney, little Roger Binney used to, swing the ball, but it was like an orthodox swing bowler,
Yes.
So that's all changed. But it's going to be interesting because actually Mandira's question, you're going to get some bowlers. How are you going to police this? How are you going to umpire this? Some bowler cricket might go, sorry, I put my spit on the ball.
Now what do you do? What do you do?
Alan, a couple of questions since you're in the thick of the action in England, or even very close to the action. So 2 questions. One is 3 West Indies players who would have been certainties for the tour pulled out. Darren Bravo, Shimron Hetmeyer, and somebody else. I forget the name now. Clive Lloyd has been actually quite critical of them pulling out. He says, I understand this the choice was with them. They pulled out. So how do you respond to that? The other is, there is a substitution rule in place even for a COVID case, like there is for a concussion case. Now, the only problem is this COVID can spread so rapidly that you might have suddenly 5 players who test positive. And what happens then?
Well, I think that's going to be a logistical nightmare because with COVID spreading as it does, apparently, it depends who you read and which scientific brochure or pamphlet you read, but this COVID it goes from hard surface to hard surface. It's not necessarily in the air unless somebody coughs at you. So yes, it can spread. And it's a question I'd like to put to Mohan Das, our great statistician. He's got little hair, but what he's got, he'll be tearing it out because he's going to have to start doing all these new stats. But I think that's a logistical nightmare. But I think it has to be part of this new look cricket that we're seeing at the moment. If a guy starts feeling ill in the middle of the day and says he's got to be tested, someone's got to come on in his place. It has to be. The second, your first question, talking about Clive Lloyd, is it Alzari Joseph? Was that the third player?
No, not Alzari Joseph. Alzari is.
Alzari's out to criticize him, no?
No, so it's. I think it's Darren Bravo.
Bravo not come.
Shimron Hetmeyer, and there's another one, isn't there?
Chemo Paul, I believe. Chemo
Paul. Yeah, well done, Anubhav. Well done. Yeah, but I am entirely with the way that Clive Lloyd. I believe that everything has been done, as far as possibly humanly possible, to make this a biosecure environment, to make it safe for the players. But at the same time, because we've never ever been exposed to this in our lifetime, you can't force Darren Bravo to go on a plane. You can't force him. I agree.
If you put yourself in their shoes for just a second, and I'd say even as the spouse, for example, like you said, there's no precedent. There's no blueprint. There's nothing. Who's to know what's going to happen? So
there's no remedy. That's the problem. If you kind of get this, coronavirus, there's no immediate remedy. Otherwise, common flu, you'll say, okay, do goli do, two
Yeah,
pills and you're fine.
But that's why they're scared, Nayas, because
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
nobody has the answer. Why is everybody stuck to their homes or stuck to their cities or their countries? It's for this reason, because there is no antidote to this right now.
Amongst Alan's many passions in sport is also tennis, and we know what happened on the Adria Tour.
Yes, we know.
Novak Djokovic, arranging that tour, organizing that tour, and
Right.
they did it in such cavalier fashion with partying and hugging and kissing and meeting the fans, etc., etc. And then suddenly, there's a whole slew
Paying
of
the price,
players, and
right? Yeah.
everybody. Yeah, so
I think that's a great word you've used there, Ayaz, is that Novak Djokovic had such a cavalier attitude towards staging this tennis tournament, and they were going to play it in 2 other venues, right? It was going to be a 3-stop
correct.
tour, right?
Yeah.
Now I think the tennis could have worked, and they had an audience. They did have 4,000 or 5,000 watching, but what they did that went completely overboard was the nightclub in the evening, and as you say, dancing and hugging and all that. These are high-profile players. He's the world number one. He should have thought about it a little bit more. I think his intentions were good. He wanted to instill goodwill, and he wanted to give back to the people, blah, blah, blah. But I think he spoilt it by all the antics that were off the tennis court than those on it. But I tell you what, Ayaz, it's a Thursday today, isn't it? It's Thursday today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. This should be day 4 of Wimbledon. Honestly, I was speaking to our good friend Vijay Amritraj on Monday, and he's almost crying because it's the first time since since he was about 17 that he's not actually gone to Wimbledon. First time in 52 years. Yeah.
Wow. I remember the times when there were budget cuts at ESPN, and you and Vijay had to anchor, you had to commentate out of the studio in Singapore for Wimbledon. Do you remember that?
Oh yes. Oh gosh.
And you remember the challenges you set for each other because they were so entertaining for the rest.
Oh, they were the days. That great man. Have we lost Ayaz? Has Ayaz gone?
Come back.
Ayaz should be back. We've lost him temporarily, but I've added him back.
Tell me, Wilco, just looking ahead to this England-West Indies Test series that's coming up, and of course they've done everything they can to make this a biosecure bubble, etc., etc. What are the papers writing? I'm guessing you don't have much interaction either with everybody, but what are the papers writing in terms of the fans? Is there excitement, or are there plans to watch the matches together? How is it going to be in England, which is so, like you said, it would have been the 4th day of Wimbledon, English summer with all its sport in all its glory. So and that is a country that knows how to celebrate and worship sport.
And a warmer summer than usual.
Yeah. So what is the sentiment there among the fans with regards to this Test series?
Well, Anubhav is right. This is the most beautiful summer. Ironically, this is the greatest summer we've had that I can remember. And a ball hasn't been bowled in cricket, and a tennis ball hasn't been hit at Queen's or Roehampton or Wimbledon. So it is bizarre. I happen to think that the 2 weeks of Wimbledon is arguably the best 2 weeks of the sporting year. It is that special, and not just because of Vijay and my love for what that man does and what he does for people in the world. It's just because I think I've been blessed to work with with Federer and Djokovic and Murray and Nadal. The 10, 12 years. Sorry, the 20 years that I've been doing it with Vijay. And to have all that taken away. Now, imagine if you were Roger Federer. He's taken it fantastically well, by the way, because Roger is what, 37, 38 now? Will he have another chance to come to Wimbledon? Maybe next year. But this was possibly his last shot at another Wimbledon title, because Djokovic is behind him by about 5-6 years. Djokovic is 33 now. So it's hit everyone. And you ask me how fans are going to watch. Mandira there's a culture in this country of going to a bar or a pub and watching Liverpool playing football, or Manchester United or Chelsea, whoever it is, but the pubs are shut.
Yeah.
The pubs are shut.
Yeah.
But they're going to open next week in England,
Yeah.
provided only if they have a beer garden. So
Very
so-
few in London.
So the pubs can maybe still show sport and they can watch it, but you have to sit outside. Now today it's fine because it's a lovely blue sky out there, but yesterday we had rain, and you're not going to want to sit outside and watch it. So it's sad. This great culture. Well, the same in India. I mean, the IPL should have finished on May the 24th, I think it was. And how many thousands of fans would have gone through the gates of those great cricket stadiums in India, and they're packed. Every IPL game is packed. So we're dealing with something that we've never had to deal with before, and
we never imagined. It was never imagined.
And hopefully never again.
So what has it done to the fan, to the man in the street? Whew, I think it's probably hit a reset button. He's probably had enough at home. He's done enough gardening, and I speak from experience. Because sport is important, Mandira. Sport is important because I'm not just saying because you want to watch Roger Federer, you want to watch Virat Kohli. It's because it keeps you fit. It's a diversion from a world which is an angry world at the moment. We're living in an angry world, and sport gives you, it's real life, it's real people, it's real emotion, it's real drama, and it's a life within a life. And that's why it's a profession, it's a livelihood, and it provides livelihoods, and it's just a chain. So if Roger Federer at the top of his, if you think of the chain of events and people all the way down to the person in the street who buys a tennis ball with maybe Roger Federer's name on it, it's colossal. The industry is colossal. And apart from that, healthy body, healthy mind. For me, sport has been part of my life for such a long time. I couldn't imagine life without it. And to people who are non-sports people, who may be just musicians or writers, pure writers, I say good luck to them. I say good luck. But sport occupies such an important part in a great, in so many people's lives, and it can be grassroots sport. If you watch little children on grass, just to see a little kid kick a ball, it's the movement and it's the hand-eye foot coordination. It starts with little steps, and you become a great player. So I think it's got a huge place in life.
Absolutely. In fact, I was having a conversation
Alan, just
with
to add to what you said, I'm just telling you one Anubhav, that I wrote a piece for Times of India some time back that you can only think life is back to normal when you see kids rolling in the mud, unconcerned about what the hell is happening around them. We've never had a situation like this where kids were not allowed to play, even during the World War, even pandemic flu, Spanish flu, which happened 100 years back. There were vast parts of this world where things were as normal. This is the first time we are seeing that there is a global shutdown, a global lockdown.
Yeah.
Young moms and dads don't want their kids to go out. They don't want their kids to go out.
My 4-year-old knows COVID-19, whatever, his face shield. In school, they've done COVID ABCs. Yeah. A is for action, B is for be careful, and C is for stay in your classrooms. Like, we can't go anywhere, Mama, it's locked down. I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah. I got that.
Well, yeah, and I just take a little walk down from my
house. Good part,
house here, and the playing fields. There's no one.
Sports.
No one playing.
Sport is a metaphor for life.
Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. In fact, I was having a conversation with Peter Drury, the football commentator, recently, and used the phrase, sports decorates our lives. Sports, arts, culture decorates our lives. And I love that phrase. The great Gary Lineker recently mentioned on Twitter that we shouldn't be ashamed to admit the fact that we have missed sport. Of course, we spoke about certain pensive issues stemming from the testing times that we're experiencing right now as a result of COVID. So I think we can provide the viewers some comic relief in the form of questions that have come in from all the viewers. Alan, we spoke a fair bit about Vijay Amritraj, your partnership with him, the times that you spent with him. Here's Mohit asking a cheeky question for Alan. Whom does he prefer as a co-anchor, Vijay Amritraj or Mandira Lalvani?
Oh, you have to say Vijay. I allow you to say Vijay. It's okay.
Well, of course it's Mandira, and Mandira and I, we have worked on a number of cricket tours together, and we have fun because Mandira has the greatest laugh. It's a rasping laugh. It is an infectious laugh. But I have to say that it's been almost like I feel like a God-given privilege to sit next to one of life's great human beings, Vijay Amritraj. And it's not work; it is a true delight. He inspires. He encourages. Everything is light around him. If there's darkness, it's like he sheds light. He's an amazing human being. So I would say it's dead even between Vijay and Mandira.
To add to that, I have had the privilege, and I know exactly where you're coming from. Of course, you have a 20-year-old friendship, and that and you co-anchored. But I worked with him on the Champions Tennis League that he started in India.
Yeah.
So I did that for 2 years, and I worked in very close proximity with him and Prakash and the entire team. And he is just something like Alan said. If there's darkness, he's light. Really, he is. His perspective. He just takes everything in his stride so beautifully, and it's just fantastic to work with somebody like that.
Sure. And he also has. I mean, he's got enlightened views and strong views on not just tennis, Anubhav, on the world. And he was a United Nations ambassador for peace. He was in the Bond movies. He moves in high circles. And I know the Mandira. I desperately wanted to work on that, on the Vijay's, the Champions League tennis. And I know that Prakash was there as well, because it was different from the other tennis vehicle that was taking place at the time. But Vijay has a way. I mean, I could see Vijay being in the highest position in the land.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. This man, you would have known Vijay for so many years. The man inspires. I could write. Maybe I should write a book about him. But I would love to do that.
He's a remarkable man. He's not just being suave. Or charming. He's intelligent. He's witty. He's all there, and his depth and breadth of knowledge is really vast. It's not just about tennis or about sport. There's a whole gamut of things that he can, you put him in front of any audience, he'll have them eating out of his hand.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does. And, his foundation, the Vijay Amritraj Foundation, the VAF, which raises money for India's neediest charities. It is phenomenal. It is phenomenal what that man does for people lesser privileged than all of us, who have a roof over our heads or whatever. So I take my hat off to him. So it's a dead heat between Mandira and Vijay, so who are like sitting next to.
And
Anubhav, I must add here, since we're talking about commentators, etc. So about Alan Wilkins, and Mandira might bear me out on this. So there are 3 commentators from England who became really household names in India. And you went to any Indian household where cricket is obviously a passion, and you ask them, naam batao commentators ka. So apart from the Indian commentators, who would they name? So there's Jeffrey Boycott.
Yes.
Then there is Henry Blofeld. And then there is Alan Wilkins.
Absolutely. Shri Wilkinson, ki jai.
Shri Wilkinson. With the head shake. Come on, do it. Come on, Wilco.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ayaz.
One second, guys, pause. Like how we were talking about substitutions on the cricket field. I have a substitution. I have a substitution for 5 minutes. Mohit wants to come in my place.
So, Alan, quick fire quiz for you.
Okay,
I had actually messaged Anubhav, but I'm not sure if he got a chance to see it. Quick fire. What's Vijay's favorite drink?
Chardonnay.
Mandira's.
That's yours also.
Mandira's is Scotch.
Okay. Who knows more about cricket, Mandira or Vijay?
Mandira.
Okay, that's all I have for you, Alan. It's been great listening to you guys.
Brilliant.
But Ayaz, thank you. That's very kind of you. Henry, I know Sir Geoffrey Boycott now very well. Sir Geoffrey and Henry Blofeld, two good friends of mine. And, if I can say it here, I've been received so well in India by people like yourself and Anubhav and Mohit and Mandira, but by everyone, the man in the street, the woman in the street, and long may the years continue when I can keep coming, because I just don't want to stop. I love the business. I just love this business of sport that we're in. And I still feel new in it. Even though I've been going a few years, I still feel that I want to do more, and I want to spread the word more, spread the gospel more. So I'm keeping hands and fingers crossed.
I've got some information that you've been gardening like a teenager.
I have. Honestly, my lawn looks like something out of Wimbledon.
But Alan, from what you were saying, it's wonderful, because at One Play Sports, our mission is about grassroots sports development. So it'd be wonderful to have you associated with what we are trying to achieve here globally.
You must count me in. There we are. If I'm not part of One Play Sports, that's it. No more.
There you go. So that's going on.
You must count me in for that. Whatever your ventures are, I think I'd love to be involved, and I think it's important. It's not. I tell you sometimes. Behind on the Vankiri, you walk into town in Mumbai, and the Madan. What's that one? It's
Oval Madan.
Which one is it?
Oval Madan.
Unbelievable. You know how many times I've walked, over there and through there, and I have wanted to pick up the ball and have a ball, I have a knock. I have, but
Venkateswar runs an academy there, so he might select you for his team. Venkateswar Academy.
I would love to do it. Nasser Hussain did a documentary for Sky Sports on that. It was a superb piece of work. It was lovely. I mean, he beat me to. I'd love to do that, but I think Mandira, as you say, and Mohit, what you're doing for grassroots, let's get in there. Let's go into. Let's just do it. I'd be delighted to be on board.
About it, the grassroots thing, the community. How do we take sports to the community? How do we evangelize sports? That's the whole thing.
Yeah, because at the moment we're talking about the top echelon. We're talking about English Premier League. We're talking about Test cricket taking place, and the grassroots at the moment is being neglected. Completely neglected in this vacuum that we're in at the moment. So it's so important. I mean, school cricket, schoolboys, schoolgirls, they're not playing. Half of them are not even at school now, having their academic lessons. So we need to. We must not. There could be a whole generation of young people being completely neglected by this pandemic. So it's crucial that we keep them on board.
Absolutely. And Alan, you spoke about the void in the vacuum. We here at One Play Sports are definitely at the forefront, trying to fill that void and vacuum. Talking about One Play Sports, we have lots of, many more questions, in fact, coming in from all our viewers. And in order for us to actually be able to do justice to all the questions coming in, Alan, I would request you to be a bit snappy with your responses. I think it's going to make it more fun as well. So we have Akanksha Joshi, who's asking you, is it true that Alan's nickname is the Silver Fox from Wales?
Well, with hair this color, yes. Akanksha, you're absolutely right. The Silver Fox, and that's it's. But mind you, look at Ayaz Memon.
Yes.
And I mean, There's degrees of silver, but I think Ayaz is pure silver.
From Bandra.
Brilliant. We've got Pulkit next, who says Alan has covered many Wimbledon tournaments, Cricket World Cups, the Masters, the Rugby World Cup, IPL, PSL. Any particular tournament or sport that you enjoy more than others?
I'm going to put this number one, Wimbledon. Number one, Wimbledon, with Vijay Amritraj and with Roger Federer in the final. Yeah, it has to be Wimbledon number one. And after that, I mean, it's Cricket World Cup. I think actually I prefer a tour to a World Cup. I like, because I think a tour, there's more stories on a cricket tour. If you go to South Africa or New Zealand with an Indian cricket team, so much unfolds, and I think I prefer that than possibly a World Cup tournament. And the Masters golf is out of this world as well. So, I've been very lucky, haven't I? Very lucky.
They call Augusta heaven on earth. Sachin Sharma saying a question for Alan. Who is your favorite cricketer, past as well as present, I guess?
I had the privilege of playing against him. Sir Vivian Richards would be my number one. My favorite cricketer of all time, he's a bit before my time, Sir Gary Sobers.
I second that. Greatest cricketer of all time.
Sir Gary Sobers, number one.
Yes.
And the man I played against, Sir Vivian Richards. In fact, funny you should ask.
Yes.
I'm going to show you that. That's me.
Yes.
And there's Viv. So there we are.
And that's not Photoshop, Anubhav. That's not Photoshop. That's a real picture.
That's a real picture. And now, favorite cricketer. Let's move on to the next question.
And Alan, talking about your book, I was going through the initial few pages and I saw this quote from Ian Chappell, and he mentioned that Alan always has an endless supply of hilarious stories, all said with his amazing ability to perfectly mimic accents. And in fact, we have a question as well from Nandini Garg saying Ian Chappell mentioned that Alan is great in mimicking accents. Could you give us a glimpse? I think you have given us some glimpses at the start, the first 10 minutes of the show. But if you have any more up your sleeve, go for it, please.
Nandini, well, I mean, sometimes you just have to, like Harsha, if you watch Harsha Bogli, Harsha puts his hands together like this. And Harsha is he's so happy. It's like he's on children's TV. Like this. But I love Harsha Bogli so much because he's such a gregarious broadcaster. I just, just to do these impressions. I mean, I'll tell you what, man, I'll do a Brad Hogg now and again, mate. I've got to get my Brad Hogg going there, mate, because, sorry, mate, what's my name? I don't know what I'm talking about, mate. I could go on, but I used to do. Who?
I'm saying a few more. Please do go on.
I'll tell you, mate. I used to do little Tony Greig now and again. There, get down there in the Mandira. And actually, Ian Chappell, Chappelli would you'd go to Ian Chappell, mate. Good as gold, mate. Good as gold, mate. He doesn't give you too much, mate.
Yeah,
and then Ravi Shastri would give you Wilkinson. Ravi doesn't say an awful lot. Sachin is quite interesting because I love the way that Sachin pronounces his T's on the end. He say, "What a great tournament!"
Yeah,
tournament.
That's good. Yeah.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that about Sachin. Navjot Singh Sidhu, but this is a clean family program, so I'm not going to do that, But he's
top class.
Bad. So anyway, I should actually make a show of all those and do them one day. But yeah,
you got another profession, another vocation waiting for you, Alan.
Well, who knows?
Even within the one place sports, we can create a vertical for you.
in this world of multitasking, instead of having different commentating voices, you just need one Alan Wilkins.
Yeah.
You choose which commentator you want.
Well, my dear old thing, I think that would be rather marvelous if I could do that. Who needs Henry Cavill there, I could do it just here in Mumbai. It would be wonderful. I think that's marvelous.
Alan, you know what I'm thinking, right? How do I convert you to technology?
And Mohit, I am the easiest pupil. You just teach and I'll learn. Yes.
Absolutely brilliant.
So what's the next program for One Play Sports? Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you're going to do next.
Okay.
What's your next initiative?
Now he's logged into Mohit's court.
Yeah.
Okay, so very, very quickly, esports is something that we're going to be working on aggressively while we wait for live sports. We've created a very robust lifestyle and health vertical in the business where you've got shows going on every day on yoga, on stretching, on health. School sports, Alan, you mentioned that school sports will remain our biggest focus as we move forward over the next 18 months. Without question, grassroots, Baroda cricket, we're going to make a formal announcement, but since I guess I can make it here, Baroda cricket has signed a deal with us where we are going to develop leagues, develop content around the Baroda cricket stories, and find a way to put money back into grassroots level sports by doing that. We have in 2019, Alan, we did over 1,000 live streams of grassroots sports on Facebook in the year. And this year, we're already broadcasting anywhere between 7 to 8 different streams every single day.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. It really is. To coordinate those numbers, you're saying you're doing that on a daily basis?
On a daily basis. We had 70 million minutes of our content viewed last year. 70 by 42 million unique viewers.
That's staggering. Absolutely staggering. So you're putting in the hours.
Yeah, we're putting in the hours.
Mohit doesn't sleep.
What's that?
Mohit doesn't sleep.
Well, I know that Mohit is a big man in racing, horse racing as well.
Horse racing is one of our verticals. We try and keep it away from the communities, but it's a community unto itself, isn't it?
What about racing in the UK? Has it started?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Saturday is the Epsom Derby. What do you like, Alan, for the Epsom Derby?
You're asking me about horses, Mohit.
Yeah.
It's a no-go.
I'm the front end bites and the back end kicks. That's about as
And Alan, here's one more. Just 2 types of creatures at the race course: fools and horses.
Yeah.
But but it was definitely back. Horse racing, I think racing was the first sport back in this country. I think I'm right in saying that. I think
it was.
Epsom or Ascot, it was there. So it's definitely back. Yeah. In fact, Michael Holding gave me a tip for a horse that was running last week, and I said, Mikey, have you got any little tips? He said, try. He said this one. He said, absolute beautiful, great horse, got a great chance. It didn't finish the race.
Here's a tip. Here's a tip for Michael Holding. I like Frankie Dettori's mount in the Epsom Derby.
You what? Sorry, I missed that.
I like Frankie Dettori's horse in the Epsom Derby. If he wants to have a bit of a wager with me, I'm on WhatsApp.
Right. Okay. Frankie Dettori. I'm going to put that. Not Danny Vittori.
Frankie Dettori is the jockey and his mount. Horse. So Mo is saying that's a little tip for Michael Holding. If you'd like to have a side wager with Mohit.
I've really put my neck on the line, haven't I?
I've just written it down. I've just written Frankie Dettori here.
Alan, may I remind you of your own words? The front end bites and the
rear end bites and the back end kicks. That's all you need to know about horses. I am hopeless. with horses, but I do like a day at the races. and I do. It's a great day out, but I'm hopeless.
Well, it's really this time. It's this time of the year in England, isn't it? You've got Test cricket, you've got Wimbledon, you've got Ascot, you've got everything happening, and it's a shame that we are in the situation we're in.
This year would have been the Euro final, also semi-final and final.
Yeah, we should have the Euro 2020s. You've got the British Formula One Grand Prix.
That's still happening.
Yes,
Silverstone
they're
is
going to have 2 races towards the end of this month, July. So that's happening, but again, no spectators. And what else have we got? You've got golf, the Open Championship. That's been put back. That's been put off. So you can't have crowds for that.
This is a mega year. I mean, you had the Olympics and the World T20, and both are, apart from the Grand Slams and all the other events that have gone.
Yeah, Olympics. They had no chance. The Olympics had no chance.
none whatsoever.
But the millions of dollars involved in that. It doesn't bear thinking about. But that's it. Let's we pray and keep fingers crossed that things are going to improve.
There are a lot more questions. Anubhav, should we take some more questions?
Yes.
Absolutely. A couple more questions, and I have to cover these. Otherwise, it's going to be a travesty. Piyush Gandhi saying, Alan keeps a note of something, 50 new words every single day. He learns 50 new words every day when he is on commentary presenting stint, and makes a point to use some of them every time. Could you elaborate on this trait of yours?
Well, I just wonder. I've got a pile of notes here. Look at this now.
Wow.
I've got notes here on the IPL. These are my notes here on IPL. I don't write down 50 words, but what I do, for instance, if I am going to be doing a Wimbledon final, Roger Federer has got the most sublime backhand in the world. Now, in a 3.5-hour match, 4 hours, he's going to use that backhand 100 times.
Yeah.
So you have to find out different ways of describing that backhand. Otherwise, you're going to become very repetitive. And you have to find out different ways of saying different things. So Piyush is right. I go through thesaurus. I've got it here somewhere. Or I just go online and I think of, I would write the word panache, or in Andy Murray's case, I might put in the word tenacious.
Yes.
Or I would come up with a word maybe for. There are some things that Roger Federer does with a tennis racket. I used the word once that I said are celestial.
Yep.
Of sky, magic. So Piyush is right, because vocabulary is so important. Vocabulary in any walk of life. And to use vocabulary, and if you read a really great writer, not just sport, but a great writer, you'll see the words, the vocabulary that he or she uses. So, yes, I do. I think that's part of my preparation, and I think it should be part of everyone's preparation. And if you read, I haven't read all these, by the way, but I do read a lot of books, and it helps. And also, when I'm reading a book, I will make notes. I make note. If I can find things, I just make notes on everything. Yeah, here's more notes. This was a book I was reading, and I've just made notes while I was reading it. So, I handwrite, which is a bit daft, but it helps me sort of learn these things and keep them in. And if there's a word I think, oh, that's a good word, I might use that.
It also shows your vintage.
Sorry?
It shows your vintage when you keep handwriting. It shows your vintage.
but then I put
handwrite too. I can't.
I think it's such
I do that. But this is a great tip for any professional, including you and me at whatever age. It's not for a professional.
Any upcoming commentator, anybody who wants to learn this, learn Alan Wilkins' craft.
Yeah,
that's the tip.
Well,
absolutely.
There is no shortcut to excellence. You have to put in the, as my friend Ravi Shastri would say, you have to put in the hard yards.
They say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
Anubhav, that's good. Because You know, one of the most overused words in cricket commentary is the word beautiful. That's a beautiful shot. That's a beautiful shot. Beautifully hit. And okay, to me, flowers can be beautiful. But if you, I'm not so sure that a cricket, sometimes a VVS Lachman cover drive is a thing of beauty. A Virat Kohli flick off the wrist leg side is a shot of beauty. It's a beautiful shot. But think of other ways to say it. Because if Virat's going to be in and getting 190, you have to think of different ways.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sumptuous shot. Or, you know, you don't have to say something. You just let the picture. But if you're in radio, then you have to think of other things to say. So, and, you know, you just keep going back. You keep learning. You just keep reinventing yourself. That's really what it's all about. And, you know, I've been in this game over 30 years. And each day, every day I do, whether it's cricket, tennis, rugby, golf, whatever it is, even being on this platform with you now, is to me, it's a new page, it's a new challenge, and it's a new motivation. It's not something that I've done before. This is not something I've done with 4 or 5 people, with these 4 or 5 people. So for me, every day, if it's the second day of a test match, it's different from the first. And day 3 will be different from days 1 and 2. So that's how I view it. I reflect on what I might have said or not have said, and I mark myself. I think that was hideous. That was a horrible remark. You know, sometimes oh God, did I say that? And I'm sure Ayaz, you're very much in the written press, and you have been for so long, and I'm sure you will look at things and you say, oh, come on, you know, but you've got deadlines. Yeah, you might think, oh God, did I write that? Oh dear, and you think about it, you know, and you do. And if you don't self-criticize or self-critique, then I think you've got to do that. You know, you've got to do that.
And ultimately, our stock in trade is words, is imagery, is description, the power of description, isn't it? Whether you're writing or you're speaking or you're broadcasting, it is how you utilize words to communicate. And you're absolutely right. I mean, beautiful is a beautiful word, but if you say it 100 times, that's nothing uglier than that.
Well, you're right. You Mark, and here's another one. Here's the other one. A cricket ball, once it hit hard off the middle of the bat, it goes across the turf and it hits the boundary board. What is the word? What is the verb that virtually every commentator uses to describe that journey?
Racing to the boundary.
Racing to the boundary. That ball races to the boundary. Why does it race to the boundary?
Yeah.
Why is it? I try never to use the word race.
Yeah.
Races to the boundary. Because if you're on television, you can see it's gone to the boundary anyways. You could say, oh, that's gone.
Yeah.
That's gone. But, you know, so I would think I would go on thesaurus and I would put race. And how many more words are there to say? That's traveled, that's whatever it is. I would find a new word. But don't bring Ravi in now, please.
Alan, just for a minute out there, when you said that's gone, you reminded me of Richie Beno.
Oh, yeah. God. Well,
I have a thought, Mohit. I think, we can carve out parts of this show and put it up as a masterclass on what to do when you're on air. You know, when you're doing commentary, almost like a tutorial.
Absolutely. And today, in fact, is quite the fitting occasion as well, since it's a World Sports Journalist Day.
Oh,
is it?
Is it? Journalist Day.
Oh,
Happy World Sports Journalist Day, guys.
Is there a party? Do we get invited? What is it?
This is the party.
This was the party.
You know,
You've had your glass of Chardonnay by now. I'm very
not
surprised.
yet. Not yet, Mandira.
Five on this chat, Alan.
No, not yet, Mandira. It's too early. It's too early here yet.
You haven't hung out with me for a long time, obviously. There was no looking at your watch back in the day.
No, there wasn't. I do like a little glass, as you know. But I think it's really important that, in fact, just to let you know, later this month, our good friend Darren Ganga, Darren, former captain of West Indies, Darren and I are embarking on an online course. You'll see this, and we hope to bring this to India as well. It's for the University of the West Indies out of Jamaica and Trinidad, and it's a sports broadcasting course.
Amazing.
Yeah, it will start, I think, on the 20th of July. I will give you some information on this. Darren and I have put this together with the University of the West Indies, and it's starting 20th of July with students mainly from the West Indies. Obviously, it was going to be a course in Trinidad and in Jamaica, but with the current restrictions, we can't do it. But we've put together modules with the staff of the University of West Indies, and they're very pleased with what we've done. We've done quite a bit of preparation for it. But this is to bring in aspiring talent to teach them and give them a basics of what to do for maybe a sports broadcasting career. And it's something that I've done with Star Sports over the years. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent out there, but it's actually doing it as well. I mean, years ago, there was the I think Harsha ki Khoj.
Harsha's hand.
Harsha
ki Khoj.
Harsha ki Khoj. Yeah.
Khoj,
Yeah. And I think out of that, there are a couple of new voices or faces appeared, and they're now on Star Sports. So I think, we've always got to be prepared to say maybe hand over the baton, but keep hold of it. But just to let someone else take it for now and again. But I think it's, it's invigorating for me. I love, if you've got somebody who's in the position who wants to learn, great. No, there's no better feeling. Oh, who's got a dog?
I have. There's a fight going on now.
There's an altercation.
There's an altercation.
Hang on, this is my brother. I'll tell him, Howard, I'm on the phone I'm on the program with One Play Sports. I'll be with you very shortly, okay? Bye. There we are. Communication.
I just love this new format of broadcast. Isn't it just fantastic? Alan, we'd sit with these earpieces, and producers, we couldn't move left or right, correct?
No.
And now you can take phone calls, you can walk in and out, get a drink. It's just fantastic.
It really is. It's the way. I hope it's not entirely the way forward, because that means that we've talked ourselves out of a job, because we like to be at the Wankhede Stadium for the Ferusha Kotla or wherever, so we want to be at Ascot, so we want to be there. So that's, or we want to be at Wimbledon. But this, yes, it has. It's just, it's given everyone a new lease and just shown what's possible.
Yeah. And just the reset button, it's just, that's what I felt for the past 3 months. It's just like, okay, fine. Declutter, prioritize, reset, what's important, what's not. And
Correct.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Alan, we see a pretty thick set of books behind you, and I'm pretty sure one of the books that's dawning that cabinet is probably yours. And Neha Singh Warrior asking us, talk to us about your recently published book, Easier Said Than Done: A Life in Sport.
Neha, Warrior, what a lovely name, Neha Singh Warrior. Anyway, yes, here it is. That's the Indian version, and we have the worldwide version here. So look, this is really and it's published by Rowley Books in India. Rowley have been very good. They've been very, very helpful. Look, this is really my story, and I've shared the journey from being at university, or being a schoolboy at university then, and then eventually playing professional cricket. Then an injury to my bowling shoulder, my left shoulder, at the age of 28 meant that I was just not as effective as I thought I should be as a professional cricketer. I made the decision to finish playing cricket, and I wanted to go into broadcasting. I didn't want to go into coaching. I didn't feel I was ready for that. And so it's that period. It's about the ups and downs, highs and lows, successes and failures, how you cope with it. And in fact, out of this book, I want to develop that kind of strand because I specialized in the psychology of sport at Loughborough when I went to Loughborough University, and to me, how a sports person handles a sporting environment, a sporting challenge, is the psychology of it really makes me want to learn more about the athlete. So I might develop that. So it's one of the best books you'll ever read. And it's available in all good bookshops in India, and it's called Easier Said Than Done. And it's given me great joy to actually put that book together and to write it. Took a few years. I researched it for years. But my golly, there's some fun in there. There's some fun in here. There's a picture of Zahir Abbas, the great Pakistani, who has a mustache just like Ayaz Memon's, but Ayaz Memon's mustache is a lot better. It's regal.
Mine is real.
Yours is a regal mustache. And here's the photograph here of supplied by Mandira.
Yeah, I remember this.
That's the one.
That's the one. With Martin Crowe and Graham Gooch. And so it goes on. So, and it's been a great thrill writing that. And I think everyone inside them, everyone has a book. I think everyone's got a story, and I did this even if it was just my family who was going to read it. I just felt that I wanted to write about it. There was a couple of injustices. How about that picture there? That's Ravi. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
going to Alibag.
That's Ravi in his speedboat going to Alibag.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, of course.
Gosh. So, with all the people I've met and with all the places I've been, I just felt I had to impart that and share it with people. And so I want to write a second book. Yeah, and I'm thinking of it. And
in fact, I'm thinking after this is over, Anubhav, why don't you send all the questions to Alan? Alan, you pick out the question you like the most from all our viewers, and let's give them a signed copy of your book.
Why not? Easily.
Brilliant.
Please.
I have even a better idea. As part of the One Play Sports initiative, Anubhav, why don't we coordinate so that we buy and donate a signed copy to as many schools in India as we can give them to, so that they can sit in the libraries there.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
That'll be brilliant. I'll help you with that as well. So actually, Ayaz is a personal friend of Pramod Kapoor and Kapil Kapoor. Kapil and his wife, his sister Priya of Rowley Books, and I'm sure they'd love to get involved with that. So
lovely. We'll get this done.
Let's get this done.
We'll get this done, Alan.
Great initiative.
And Alan, just to clarify, so I'm included amongst the people who ask questions, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Just making sure.
Anubhav, absolutely you are. Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Great
And Alan, before we conclude proceedings, of course, we spoke a bit about One Play Sports ethos. We saw a whole host of questions from viewers on our One Play Sports platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Any message, any parting words for our One Play Sports viewers who are watching this live and who will watch this in retrospect as well?
Well, I just feel, as I've said in this program, I've just said that sport is a very important part of life. It embellishes life, and it gives you as a human being a chance to do something, to say something, whether you make the very top or not. It gives you a chance. It gives you an opportunity. And I think whatever opportunities come your way, whether you play more like an individual sport like golf, or whether you play a team sport like cricket, you'll meet people. If you're successful, you'll go to places, you'll travel the world. There are opportunities out there. But more than anything else, it's the taking part. And I really believe that. I've got lifelong friends, and through social media and Facebook, Twitter, I've now met up with these people long decades ago since I was playing with them. I was playing under 15 cricket, under 16 cricket, and we're now back in touch. So sport can do that. And, I think you should do it when you're young, because you'll always get a chance to pursue an academic life. I did pursue a life in academia first. I got my degree first. I could have gone wholly into cricket at the age of 18, but I didn't do that. I got a degree first. But give yourself a chance, enjoy the sport, whatever your sport is, and don't let anyone stop you. Do it. Just do it. Just get out there, enjoy it. And no one can tell you that you can't. Don't let anyone tell you that you cannot do something. Prove it to yourself.
Fantastic.
Love
Brilliant.
it.
And was it an enjoyable debut on a One Play Sports Networks? Hopefully the first of many more appearances in the future.
Well, I had nerves. I had nerves at the start when I saw the caliber of participants. But I
Or the lack thereof in my case.
No. See, don't put yourself down. It's been immensely enjoyable, and I hope it leads to many more. Ayaz, Mandira, Mohit are great friends of mine, and I love what you're doing. I love One Play Sports. I love the concept. Get me involved. I want to be involved, and when we get to some sort of normality, we hope let's get our thoughts together and let's do something. Let's make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Fantastic.
Shall we?
Absolutely.
We
Thank you,
shall.
Alan.
We shall. We shall.
Anubhav, brilliant. Well done. Thanks for that, and good luck to you as well. And let's get this into schools and what have you. And
Yeah.
we can visit schools. We can back it up with visits and whatever. Look, it's a wide open playing field. It's a wide open field. But keep me away from the horses, Mohit. I'm hopeless.
You've got a tip for Saturday.
I do. Anything that Frankie Dory rides.
No, only in the Epsom Derby.
Only in the Epsom Derby. In the main.
Right.
I haven't
Derby.
studied the rest of
What's
the
that
field.
to Adam?
I haven't studied the rest of the field.
In the main race, in the Epsom Derby, you are to back
Thank you.
Frankie Dory's mount.
I'll tell you what he's riding. I'll tell you the name. It's King. I just saw him. I just saw his trial where he won the Linkfield Derby trial, and I just said to myself as he hit the finishing line, he just stretched out magnificently, and he got stronger as he hit the line, and he came down. He came down that slope really well. I thought, this is a horse for Epsom. Horses for courses, Alan.
Right. I will take that on. And just in finishing here, we've mentioned his name. We've mentioned his name, and Ayaz, you will attest to this. When he was starting his career, Ravi Shastri batted at 10.
Yes.
Ravi batted at 10, and he could bowl left arm spin. But they used to say to Ravi, "You're not a good. You won't bat higher. You won't bat much higher than 8, 9, 10." And Ravi proved them wrong.
Correct.
Ravi went up to number 1 in the order for India.
Yeah.
And in my view, he should have captained India more. He only captained in 1 test. Is that right, Ayaz?
Absolutely. And won that test match against the West Indies.
Correct.
Yeah.
So Ravi proved them wrong, and he has got a phenomenal record. In fact, let me think about this. There are only 4 cricketers, I think, who have got 3,000 test runs, 150 test wickets, and more than 10 centuries. And Ravi Shastri is one of those cricketers. Wow. The other being Sobers, Botham, Callis, and Shastri.
Correct.
So when you talk about Ravi Shastri, I know Ravi picks up a lot of flack with his commentary, but it's like water off a duck's back. Ravi backs himself, believes in himself, and nobody could ever tell him that he couldn't. That's what I really love about Ravi Shastri, and that's why I think Ravi and Virat have this fantastic relationship, because that's how Virat believes. No one can tell him that he can't, and that is what Ravi was all about when he was a cricketer. And,
Don't you remember his sixes? That over of sixes, Alan?
Yeah.
6 sixes and then 4.
6 sixes. Yeah, unbelievable. I remember watching it live. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's my and please give him my very best, because he's gone incognito behind the bushes in Alibag. He's gone. He's disappeared.
He's shed a lot of weight. He's been on a good regimen
Fantastic.
over there.
Has he?
So in lockdown and isolation. I mean, no, he's not in isolation. His wife is also there. His daughter is there. But I think they're keeping a strict watch on what he has, more than just the food that is served. So
Fantastic.
Excellent.
And Alan, the name of the horse for Saturday is English King.
English King.
That's right.
Oh, well, our next English King will be Charles.
Unlikely.
Well, I'm not.
whenever that
I'm
happens.
straight to William.
Let's put it this way. I wouldn't put much money on him if he were at Epsom.
I'm going to put £5 on this horse. Go ahead.
And make sure Michael Holding does as well.
I will do. I'm going to do that. This has been great fun.
Great fun. Thanks a lot, Alan.
Great.
Thank you to all of you. Thanks, Mandira, Mohit, Ayaz, and Anubhav. Been really great fun. Look forward to doing this again. Get me on board. Let's make a difference.
We will. Give a love to Susie. Bye.
Will do. God bless.
This was
Thank you.
fantastic. Just one closing thought. So Alan mentioned that he was experiencing nerves. I must say very honestly and candidly that at the start of the show, I was experiencing some nerves. But honestly, this was the most easy moderated session that I've ever done, only because I could just sit back and relax and listen to the fascinating anecdotes that all of you had to share about the time that we spent together. So thank you so much. The pleasure was totally mine.
In a broadcast.
Thank you. Thanks, Anubhav.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. God bless.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And thank you to all of viewers as well for having tuned in. Cheers,
Thank you.
guys.